Hi, 4 subscribers. I will be doing a highly anticipated Booktube video. Highly anticipated for the 4 people that subscribe to me. Let's be best friends. Come here. Can you behave? Can you stay here? Okay. Stay over here. This week's video is a review / just general praise of Louise Erdrich's The Night Watchman. This book came out in March of 2020, I believe, and I honestly just picked it up because I thought the jacket was pretty cool, the book jacket here. I also really enjoy how, I'm gonna go ahead and take this off real fast. I really enjoyed the beautiful blue, which you'll see in a moment. That's the same color as my couch, what I refer to as TARDIS blue. And then also this like lovely green in the inside. I mean, hello, go Seahawks. This book is about so many things. It's about politics. It's about history, although it is a semi-fictionalized version of historical events. More than that, though, it's about people. It's about how politics are personal. It's about humanity. It's about goals and surviving and fighting for the people that you love and fighting for the things that you believe in. It's got multiple narrators. It's told from the perspective of so many different people. The world building that Louise Erdrich does in this book is outstanding. There are so many different people from so many different walks of life, whether that is the people that live on this Chippewa reservation or the people that Patrice encounters when she goes into the big city, the people that they encounter in Washington, D.C., not to give anything away towards the end, all the way to, we see the perspectives of some of the horses on the reservation and in the town. We see the perspective of ghosts that have died, who have stayed around for one reason or another. And it's just fantastic. Each individual character is written in such a way with such a distinct style that you almost instinctively know that you've switched narrators, even if there has been no indication. It's just the style of the writing, the word choices, the way that new narrator observes their world. It's just so clear as you shift. There is, not explicitly, but there's definitely some LGBTQ representation within this book. There is a character that I just absolutely love named Millie. Spoilers, you know, if you really want to go in with no information, because you actually don't find out about Millie Cloud until probably halfway through the book. So she isn't actually introduced until much later. Gosh, and it's just crazy to think so much happens. I remember I would read a couple of chapters and then I would put it down and I was like, a whole world of information has just happened. And that would be the first 20 pages. And it would just do that again and again. And I honestly think that the time lapse from beginning to end is only a few months, if even that. And yet so much. These characters, it's a town of people, an entire Chippewa reservation of people changing and evolving and having a full story arc from start to finish. And I'd never read anything like this before. I do plan on reading every single thing that Louise Erdrich has written from this point on. It was, I mean, really, I consumed it and enjoyed it that much that she's now earned herself a lifelong fan. For just a quick rundown of the 2 main characters, the ones you were introduced to right from the beginning, we have Pixie, or Patrice. She has an evolution of character that's almost kind of tied to the way that she wants people to see her in the world. So there's Pixie, which is kind of her youthful self. That was her nickname back when she was in junior high and high school. And now Patrice. She has graduated high school. She's a young woman. She's working and boy, does she go on a bit of a run. Zanat is Patrice's mom. She is one of the few people that, unlike Thomas, remained hidden or were just kept away from when the government officials came in to bring the kids to put them into these boarding schools. So she is able to speak fluent Chippewa. She still practices all of the old medicinal rituals and beliefs and customs in that sense. I love her character because she's so funny. Patrice does code switching throughout the book. Sometimes she has to speak English and be perfect and fit in with Betty and Doris and Valentine at the place where they work, the jewel bearing plant. And it's very much kind of like not necessarily a white dominated, but it's a place where you want to be on your P's and Q's and kind of just like school. And then she can go home and, put on boots and overalls and go chop firewood and speak Chippewa and just kind of let her hair down and be herself in that way. When she has these conversations with her mom, it's really interesting because she discusses in that code switching, living in between these two worlds, she discusses how because there are different words, or sometimes there aren't even the words in Chippewa for the thing that she wants to discuss in English, or vice versa, that her understanding of the world as a child that was built by her mom, things like going through puberty, things like having her first sexual experiences. And it's not because her mom's a prude, it's just because there's that language barrier of her mom, for instance, is the one that taught her about, intercourse, about love, all these different things. And she has a moment in her young adult life where she realizes that if she does end up falling for or dating a person, man, woman, whomever, two-spirit, yes. Oh. Patrice realizes that when she does want to ultimately explore love, explore her body, explore the sex, with other people, that if those people don't speak Chippewa, she doesn't even know how to start the conversation because she does not know the words in English. The person that you might consider to be the night watchman would be Thomas Washop. Who was actually based on Louise Erdrich's grandfather. He is the one that fought this actual historical termination bill put forth by Arthur V. Watkins in Congress. So termination. What it did was basically abrogate the nation-to-nation treaties that existed from the very beginning of our country's history. Congress decided to cast them aside and to terminate the entire basis of Native American land ownership. It took months for this to filter out into Indian country, and they only had a matter of months to mount some sort of defense for their very existence. As it shook out, the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa was the one tribe to resist early on. Of those first 5, what happened was complete devastation and loss. The forests were sold off. The tribes ended up with, again, through the generations, a smaller and smaller land base. And now finally, it was loss of identity. It was loss of life. There was despair among people who were terminated. They had done everything possible to fit into American society and culture, but it wasn't enough. And Louise said that she read her grandfather's letters that she wrote to other tribes around the United States that were also being affected by this termination bill, letters that he wrote to the surrounding community asking for assistance as the Chippewa Indians went to Washington, D.C. to fight this termination bill.
So it comes down to this, Thomas thought, staring at the neutral strings of sentences in the termination bill. We have survived smallpox, the Winchester repeating rifle, the Hotchkiss gun, and tuberculosis. We have survived the flu epidemic of 1918 and fought in 4 or 5 deadly United States wars. But at last we will be destroyed by a collection of tedious words.
He also wrote letters to family and friends and other people that he knew, just looking for strength and kind of comfort to get through this time. And Louise has gone on record to say that her grandfather was just a really wholesome person, and that you can really tell kind of the spirit of who he was in his writing. Thomas is just a beautiful character. This book leaves room for every kind of thought, every kind of viewpoint on the world imaginable. Everybody gets a chance. Thomas was taken from the reservation when he was young and put into a Catholic school that was supposed to teach him American history, the American history that the government wanted these young Indian children to learn, and also about the history of Catholicism, and to kind of indoctrinate them into this American lifestyle that they wanted these people to kind of live from here on out. So Thomas doesn't hate any group of people. He doesn't hate the American government. He doesn't hate white people. He doesn't hate even Catholics. He keeps a Holy Bible around because he finds comfort in the beauty in it, and in this idea of God and what that could do. But he also kind of sees the pain in that in his life, the literal manifestation of how sometimes people can warp that idea of what they've read in the Bible and what they should be doing here on earth and how they should be treating other people. That being said, he also has just as much respect and awe and just as much of a relationship with the gods, the trickster god that he talks about, that has a very creative way for getting himself out of a situation where he's stuck in a tree, that has a very creative way of kind of like pranking the different people, in his life. But yeah, he talks about all of these and they all get a seat at the table. There's also a distinct love of science. There's an understanding that logic should be applied to situations, and that kind of without the marriage of logic and spirituality, there's not really a way to navigate through the world that makes sense. There are going to be things that are black and white that you do understand, and then there are just going to be experiences that keep you alive, that burn that passion inside of you and keep you moving forward. And there's just not a single way, no matter, even if you are Miss Millie, who is this very studious, very type A, very cut and dry person, even she has these moments where there are just things you can't explain, and they're just as meaningful and legitimate experiences as a mathematical equation. For any true crime fans out there or people who love a good mystery, there is a kind of Gone Girl element from the very beginning. It's at first you assume that it is the number one plot point of the book, which is that someone has gone missing, and there are people, family members and people on the reservation that are now looking for that person, and they have very, very few clues, and there may be foul play involved. You very quickly realize that the termination bill is then the main plot point, and then beautifully woven in, it's like, here's a new main plot point, here's a new main plot point. As you adjust, I mean, there are times where for just a moment we enter the psyche of a character, of someone who has been stealing, been making very bad choices, is very tormented about their choices and about their spirituality, and that becomes so important in that moment. And then the chapter's over, and we might not hear from that character again for another 80 pages. So, but it doesn't leave you unsatisfied. It leaves you really wanting more, and you're just like, oh wow. It's almost like you're walking through this town and you can see, oh, that's them at their door. Okay, that's a little snippet of their life, and then you keep going and then you like meet another neighbor. It's just really, really well done. The end does a beautiful job of tying everything up. There's even little individual paragraphs that discuss the specific characters that you have met throughout the book. So you have a very clear understanding of kind of where everyone ends up at the end, which was beautiful. It's very kind of like start of the story arc, and ending. with all this like beautiful like flavor and intrigue and things woven in between. So really, really enjoyed it. Can't recommend it any higher. 4 out of, is it 5 stars? 5 stars, that one. All the stars.